Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to Sunday Live. How is everybody in chat? Good to see you all once again. Been a week since the last F1 stream, so it's good to get back and talk some Formula 1. Got a few bits to get through tonight. We're going to be talking about our 2019 ones to watch. Now that's going to start off as teams, but inevitably will of course lead to drivers. It's kind of a follow-on to last Sunday's teammate battle stream and all part of ramping up ready for pre-season. I don't want to get you too excited. We're about 2 weeks away from car launches. and something like 3 weeks from testing. So stay calm, not too much hype, but I cannot wait. It's insane. And plenty, by the way, of racing for you guys to sink your teeth into this weekend. Loads going on. I believe Daytona's still going on, but I'm not going to talk too much about that because it's not Formula One. So we will get into this, I think, straight away pretty much. I don't know if Jonty might be having some technical issues. I'm going to try by bringing him straight in. I think he was having some issues. Maybe they're sorted. Good evening, Jonty.
Good evening, everyone. You can hear me, can't you?
I think so, yeah, I can hear you. I think Stream can. They'll soon let us know if they can't.
Yeah, it's all right. Some idiot forgot to turn on the amp for his microphone. So.
Them other halves, mate? They're terrible for things like that one. I just have to turn you up a little bit. Awesome stuff. And also, I hope you're ready for this one because I'm quite looking. I love these streams. I know you do as well, where we just throw a few slides out there of teams and then chat for a bit about them. It kind of opens everything up, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. And I have no idea what you're going to come at me with, so I'm looking forward to this.
I'm rather predictable in this sort of thing, so people already probably know the one I'm going to start with. But also, we're going to be bringing somebody new into the F1 Stream Team. We announced this on Stream Team. That's so cheesy. We announced this on Twitter earlier in the week. So make him feel welcome, chat. Hello to Aldas.
Yeah, hello, Sean. Hello, everyone. Brand new addition to the Stream Team. Thank you very much, Sean. Can't wait. This should be amazing. Should be great.
You're nervous, mate. Stay calm, chill. It's all good. They're pretty gentle, the chat. They can be.
Are you joking me? I've seen this stream before. It can get pretty rough sometimes, but I love it.
I'm going to do this. It's put you right on the spot, as I like to do. But just in case anybody's not seen your channel, do you want to give a little introduction as to who you are?
Yeah, so as I said, my name is Aldas, and by the way, just to dispel any internet rumors, that is actually my name. But yeah, that is my name. I do obviously Formula One content. I did obviously reviews and opinion pieces, some Rise and Downfall series that have been my big hits, just about teams. And then, of course, the controversial opinion pieces, which the internet just loves now, don't they?
I wouldn't know what you're talking about. I never do anything controversial. I try to avoid it, but we're going to hop straight into this one, mate. Obviously, welcome. It's awesome to have you with us. I'm going to go first here. We are each going to sort of pick somebody and then see where we end up from there, but I'm going to be really boring and go with the obvious start and say that team to watch, or one of the obvious teams to watch, is probably Sauber, I would say. Kimi Räikkönen coming in, obviously massive experience in Formula One, been around since 1923. So massive experience there. 292 starts, as you can see there. He's going to bring something else to Sauber, isn't he, Jonty? Obviously, they were really good last year. And I've just got a feeling they could be one of the big surprises in 2019.
Yeah, they definitely could. I mean, we know they made massive gains through the Alfa Ferrari partnership. But they've never had someone who's really been right at the front racing for wins. That's been in the team helping the development. That's the difference that Kimi's going to bring. He's got so much more experience, not just in time, but of a different level. And it's going to make a massive, massive change for them.
This is maybe a bit of a random question. Were you surprised as to how quickly that Alpha investment paid off?
Honestly, yeah.
I was. Because I talked about it in the winter. I think we talked in the winter on multiple streams about how we thought, yes, they've got the Alpha backing, that's great, but we won't see any real development from that until 2019. And how wrong were we there?
Although now I'm thinking about it on the spot, maybe not, because don't forget 2018 was the first time. I'm sure that was the first time the rule came in where the customer engines had to be the exact same engine. The year before, Sauber were on 2017, Sauber were using the 2016 Ferrari engine. So last year, it was all the same, which will have made a massive difference.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think, Aldas? I know we were talking about this during our brief 4-hour conversation on Tuesday. It was a bit of a surprise to see how well they developed through 2018 and how quickly they developed.
Yeah, well, when you say brief, yeah. But no, it was ridiculous. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. It was just crazy. I mean, at the start of the season, they're battling with Williams at the back. And then, what is it? An incredible finish, especially by Leclerc at the end. So really cementing where they are. One also thing that I think really helped them is Williams and McLaren. They really messed up on their car design, and it was all the better for Sauber, of course.
They see McLaren and Williams just seemed to give up very quickly, didn't they, in the end? And I think that probably helped Sauber out massively. But yeah, it's a good point there. Very good point. am I being a bit optimistic if I say this, Aldas, by maybe they could be in the fight for top 4?
I think that is, well, I think it definitely is optimistic because, but you never know. Again, Kimi Räikkönen, he could be the difference. He is a proven winner. Only last year, of course, winning that incredible American Grand Prix, one of the best racers of 2018 for sure. And he could be the difference. As far as Antonio Giovinazzi, well, we're going to find out with him. But I think they'll have a great season. Whether they'll be right at the top of that midfield, well, we'll have to wait and see.
It's quite a weird one with Gio, Jonty. We've both been quite open about how we don't rate him maybe as highly as some in the community do. But we're talking about him. He has had 2 F1 starts, of course, and got a 12th place finish in, I think it was Australia, when he was filling in for Wehrlein. He did okay. He wasn't brilliant. Put it in the wall a couple of times. But he's coming into the season as a rookie at 25. And I know people instantly go into chat and say, well, Damon Hill didn't debut to this age, but it's a completely different time now in Formula One. So he's a rookie, but with bags of experience behind him in other series.
Yeah, and the time he's been away, he's focused on nothing but being 100% ready for a full-time F1 seat. It hasn't just fell into his lap or been a last-second call-up. This is what he's been focused on for a couple of years, and that can only really make good changes for him. It's going to really set him on the right path at the start of the year. He's not going to be going in nervous at all.
I'm going to say this a million times in this stream, but that fight in the midfield is going to be so close. But do you think they can fight for 4th, Jonty?
I think if they follow the sort of the progression path that they were through 2018, we saw, as Aldas said, at the start of the year they were nowhere, and then all of a sudden, sort of by maybe Italy, Singapore, maybe, they were constantly fighting for Q3 every race. So they're going to start this year fighting for Q3. So by the end of the season, they should be fighting for podiums if that speed keeps up. So 4th might be a stretch, but they're certainly going to be the 4th best team for the second half of the year.
I suppose maybe not in the fight for 4th in some ways. If not that, then they're certainly going to have an influence on it, because let's say for argument's sake, hypothetically speaking, the fight's between Renault and Racing Point for 4th place, and then Sauber hit top form as they did towards the end of this year, and they keep going in 2019. Suddenly they're taking points away from them. So if they don't actually get to 4th, they could have a say in who ends up 4th.
Yeah, definitely. That could really happen. I mean, I think at the start of the year, they're going to be 6th or 7th out of the teams. And then as it goes on, they'll probably be, overall, they'll seem to be 5th best by the end of the year, but they will be taking home more points than Renault come the last 5 races.
Another Jonty prediction. I must keep writing these down because you tend to get more right than maybe some of your crazy predictions should allow, to be honest. It looks like you're going to get another one right today as well. So it is your first stream, Aldas, mate, so I'm going to put you right on the spot. Who would be your pick before we go into any other teams for one to watch? I've got all my slides ready, so you're not going to catch me out.
This is a team that I literally just made a video on a couple of days ago, and it is McLaren. They've got so much riding on 2019 with so many different changes. They're my team to watch for sure.
Ooh. In what way? Now then. Do you know, I said you wouldn't catch me out. You've thrown a curveball there because I don't expect them to develop anywhere near as much as they seem to think they will. So is it more out of hope than expectation, maybe?
Actually, I think it's none. I'm just excited to see what's going to happen with them. Are they going to stay? McLaren. Let's remember just how good and how famous of a team they used to be. Are they going to stay at the bottom? Are they going to make it back up to the top? I have no clue what's going to happen with them in 2019. But it's just crazy to think how much the team has changed since even a couple of years ago. And that's why they're sort of my team to watch. What is going to happen with this great team, and when are they going to get back up? And Lando Norris as well, the youngest McLaren driver ever. That's going to be a big gamble, whether he's ready or not. I mean, me and Sean sort of touched on it in our brief conversation. But yeah, that'll be a really interesting one. And then Carlos Sainz, a lot better than I think people actually think a lot better than people actually think he is, because he did really well in 2018, but sort of went under the radar in my opinion. So lots to look out for in McLaren.
Yeah, I've said in the last couple of streams that I've been quite harsh on Carlos Sainz for his 2018. Then when I sat down and did my stats roundup for the end of the year, I was like, okay, he's consistent, and I had to take that back. But as for Lando Norris, I just hope he people lay off him a little bit. I'm a little bit worried there's too much hype around him. And I just hope people lay off. But unfortunately, it's the UK. He's a British driver, and they'll spend they've spent the last year, and they'll probably spend the next 6 months building him up and then knocking him right back down again at the first mistake, because that's what the British media do. But what do you reckon, Jonty? A McLaren one to keep an eye on?
Yeah, they should be, because they gave up with the 2018 car so early. They realised they'd got it wrong, so they know that 2019 is massively important for them. I would say that your slides confused me a bit because you've got different stats for each driver, and when I glanced at it, I saw Lando Norris age 19. I thought you'd put Carlos Sainz age 81. Really confused me for a moment.
I just love to confuse you, Jonty. You know what I'm like.
But you've got to assume McLaren have got enough know-how and experience to realise exactly what they got wrong last year. You know, they got supposedly the better engine, and they did just get something completely wrong on the chassis. I would hope they know what they're doing, but it is very, very worrying. As Alice said, they've got to produce, and I'll be very worried about their future if they don't.
Yeah. Do you know what? Do you know what excites me most about McLaren this year, honestly, is the fact that they've had one comment where they've said they're confident they've got a good car, but they've not been bigging themselves up. They've been talking more about it being a long-term project, and that often, as we've seen so many times, Jonty, can pay off quite nicely, because instantly the expectation from fans is lower, so people are going to go into the season a bit more realistic than, yes, we'll be fighting Red Bull for podiums.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. They've, like you say, so much expectation from the fans. Is that now lower? I don't know. I've stepped away from McLaren as a fan quite a lot in the last few years. Not just because they've been doing badly, but because of the way they've been handling the whole situation. The bitchiness between them and Honda was not good for the sport.
We need them back up there, don't we, Aldas? We really do. A team of McLaren stature. I grew up watching them. They were the team to beat, along with Ferrari and Williams. So to see them struggling is just not. It's not good to see. It's not good to see at all. But McLaren, with their budget and the people they've got behind them, if they can get anywhere near that top four and keep growing, then they could be title contenders 3, 4, 5 years down the line. But it's a long way back.
I mean, let's just remember 10 years ago, I mean, Lewis Hamilton was winning championships and then races, and then we had Jenson Button come in, and it was just an incredible fight between the top teams, and McLaren were right up there, very competitive, and in my opinion, in 2012, even had the best car. So it's just crazy how quickly it's gone so wrong. And actually, when you said, it's a long-term project, to me, really, I thought the long-term project started in 2015. So they need to deliver now. It's the long-term project is, how long is this? So, it's going to be interesting to see where they are. But like I said, big changes, hopefully for the better. And also very interesting to see how they're going to do without Fernando Alonso. 2019 could be a big year for Alonso in Formula One, even though he's not there, because we're about to see how much did he really drag that McLaren up.
That's a great point. I know you love a stat as well, Jonty, so I've got it written down here because I knew it, but I had to do a double take to it. 2 decades since they last won a Constructors' Championship. 20 years.
Yeah, that's a very, very long time for McLaren to go without, isn't it?
It's
That's
insane.
not what we're used to seeing.
It's insane. When you think back to the days of, here we go, old men alert, sorry Aldas. When you go back to the days of Senna and Prost and Hakkinen, and I'd never believe, if somebody told me when I was growing up that McLaren would end up where they were, I'd never believe it.
No, you wouldn't. Through all of the time that I grew up watching F1, and even the start of this century, they were always there. Even if they weren't the best car, they were still taking the odd win here and racking up a decent amount of points. And now it's just been, sorry, who are you again?
Yeah, it's awful, isn't it? It's awful. Not good to see. Hopefully they'll get there. Just as I've said so many times, the more teams we can have at the front fighting, the better. But go on then, Jonty. Who are your pick for the first 3-1 to watch?
I've got to go with Renault to be. Oh, hang on. Sorry, I'm confused here. Which first 3?
Oh no, the first 3 we're going through. That's all. Sorry, I realised after I said it that was stupid. Just you're one to watch.
I've got to go with Renault. They're making so many bold statements in the media. they're going completely the opposite to what we usually see through this time of year. We've always got top teams, even some of the midfield teams, saying, "Oh well, we've probably made a few mistakes, and we're a bit worried about where we're going with the car." We've already seen it from Mercedes and Red Bull. Renault have been positive all the way across, and I don't think they would do that if they didn't have a good package.
I'm trying to be optimistic for Renault. I really am. I just don't really. I'd love to see them break into that top three. The problem is then that's at the expense of Red Bull, and then maybe they're not going to be up there fighting for the title. But the thing is, they've improved year on year, haven't they? So in theory, they should improve yet again this year. And with all the knowledge they've got behind that engine, Daniel Ricciardo coming in as well with 2014 he was at Red Bull, so a lot of experience with an up-to-date Renault engine, if you like. So I think that they're sitting pretty, but I know there's a lot of people that think they're going to go third. I'm just not quite as optimistic as some.
Yeah, it might be a difficult stretch for them, especially if Honda produce something. But like you say, they've been steadily progressing, and last year Hulkenberg was comfortably the winner of Formula 1.5, and that was with 7 retirements. Without those retirements, he could have been much, much higher. He could have been challenging, Bottas and Ricciardo for their positions.
Like I say, if you look at the 7 retirements and how he was, half the points, maybe a little bit more off Ricciardo. And I think in most occasions, he was running somewhere near the point. So it would have been closer, wouldn't he? So it's, I don't know. I think Nico Hulkenberg and Daniel Ricciardo is possibly the best lineup on the grid in terms of experience. Like the whole package, you could easily say Vettel and Leclerc, for example, but I would say for the whole package of experience and proven ability, I think they're the best lineup on the grid probably. But I know you reckon top 3, don't you, Aldas? I think you put in your predictions.
Oh yeah, boy, did I get roasted for that one. Although to be fair, Dan did as well. So
He did.
at least there's two crazy people in the world. And literally everything you've just said, I actually already said. Literally, I think they have the best lineup on the grid. Period. Literally, you look at the experience of Nico Hulkenberg, and even in 2018, he was amazing, as you said. Daniel Ricciardo, again, proven. I actually don't think we've seen the best of Daniel Ricciardo. I really don't. And once again, they're the way they've. When did they come in? 2016, didn't they? And they've gone better and better and better every single season. And once again, and I've said this before, I have a lot of doubts about the Red Bull Honda, and I think we're in for such a good season for Renault. Although, as we've seen with McLaren in 2018, the fighting talk means absolutely nothing until we see them in testing and then in Australia.
Yeah, I'm trying to be optimistic. I still think Red Bull are going to be third. I'm going to be grumpy like that, but we'll talk about Red Bull in a bit. But yeah, I don't really know what to say about Renault. We've talked about them loads just lately, haven't we, Jonty? And how confident we are that they're going to improve. But comfortably 4th minimum, would you say, or do you think it is just going to be too tight in that midfield?
I've got to go with comfortably 4th and fighting for 3rd. Because the other point you got to think with Red Bull is the fact you've now got 2 young, sometimes hot-headed drivers. Now, Ricciardo can show his emotions and what have you, but he's quite a cool guy and he will take things in his stride very well. And I think that kept a lot of the inter-team squabbling at bay in Red Bull. They ain't going to have that now. So I think there could well be quite a few turkeys.
Ooh.
Controversial.
Yeah.
Controversial.
For a second then, I had to think about what you meant by turkeys. I thought we were getting excited about Christmas already, but no. They've improved year on year, as I've said already, so I think they can close that gap. I mean, reliability, Renault taking some shots at Red Bull, again, just lately about reliability. I think it's scrolling on the bottom somewhere that they reckon Honda's reliability will hamper Red Bull's progress. I'm gonna click the Red Bull slide. We might as well we're talking about them. Do you think there's going to be that big a problem with Honda, Aldas, or do you think people are maybe looking at what happened with McLaren rather than to the future?
Well, it's such a difficult one with Honda and Red Bull because, okay, I did put Red Bull in 4th behind Renault, and the only reason I put that is because I don't see how you can slot an engine that has been just having so many reliability issues. Doesn't matter if it's in McLaren or Toro Rosso. How are you going to slide that into an Adrian Newey package that is just going to, that's it, win races straight away? I mean, no, don't get me wrong. They'll probably will win races, but championship contenders, I'm not sure. I think they'll struggle. I think this is a long-term project. And I don't know. Like, I have doubts about this. And to be honest, with Honda's history in the hybrid era, I don't know. I just don't know.
I'm going to repeat myself from last week. The thing with Honda is, in terms of pace, all they need to be is within a couple of tenths of Renault, and Red Bull are still probably fairly comfortably third. But the big question mark is over that reliability, isn't it, Jonty? That's what everyone's pointing at. They're not saying Honda haven't got the power, because they proved with Toro Rosso that they can deliver the power, but they also proved with Toro Rosso that they've still got a long way to go in terms of reliability. Better than they were with McLaren, no denying that, but they've still got a way to go.
Yeah, exactly. It is still a big question, no matter how positive all the messages we hear are, and no matter what the progression they made last year was, it's still going to be a big question mark. We could all be wrong. They could come out with the most reliable engine that's got the most power, since the hybrid era started, and come out to Australia and blitz everyone, but it's highly, highly unlikely.
I can't wait. I'm going to say it so many times in this stream, I cannot wait for this season. There are so many question marks over everything. I'm going to throw another one to watch in, though, because, and I think, again, this is probably quite a safe one to go with, but I'm going to go Racing Point, whatever they're going to be called, come the 13th of February.
Maple Force. I still say Maple Force. It would have been awesome.
See, I've got this horrible feeling. I know this is kind of a little bit away from where we're going, but I've got this horrible feeling they're just going to rock up on the 13th and go, and the new name is Racing Point. Just like Sauber did with their livery, going, no, this isn't the livery, this is just what it could look like, and then they launched the car and it looked basically exactly the same. So I think they'll probably be Racing Point, but you never know, they might come with something else, new sponsors and that. I'm hoping to keep the pink, but question marks over that again now. But anyway, definitely one to keep an eye on, whether that be for the fight for fourth or not. I think this could be one of the most explosive lineups on the grid, and yes, probably beating Grosjean and Magnussen in that respect as well. Sorry, Dan, but I think always have to take a Grosjean dig. Perez can be a hothead. His fans won't like that, but it's a fact. You only have to go back and look through his career. He can be. Lance Stroll can get a little bit stroppy and can be a hothead when he wants to be as well. His daddy owns the team, so he's gonna come in there thinking it's his and he'll do what he wants. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just the way it looks. So I think this could be quite explosive, Aldas, and it might end up costing them quite dearly in the Constructors' Championship.
Yeah, I mean, we thought they had an explosive and close driver lineup in 2017 and 18, and that definitely did produce a couple of, let's say, speculative incidents, especially in like Singapore last year. But this is going to be so great. I can't wait to see. I think the car will be fast. I don't know if they're going to make massive strides or go back. I think they'll be sort of where they are. But it's this inter-team, relationship, and also how is Sergio Perez going to feel, because the team is being kind of made for Lance Stroll. I mean, how much effect his dad is going to have on the team and on the actual like management of the drivers. I'm looking forward to seeing that. But could we see fireworks? I think absolutely. I'll be shocked if there's not going to be a crash between them two. Shocked.
Yeah. I mean, I hope they should be able to build a good car, because we've seen so many times, haven't we, Jonty, with the Jordan days and with the Force India days, that they are very good at punching above their weight. So if they build a good car again with that Mercedes engine, which was assumed would be at absolute worst the second best engine on the grid, but you'd probably say possibly the best, they could be sitting quite pretty, but they could start costing each other points if they start squabbling too much.
Yeah, exactly. And it is a big worry. Like you said, Perez is a hothead. We've seen it before. You got Spa twice, and was it Canada 2017?
Yeah, there was some team orders there.
Yeah, he just refused to go along with the team orders, which ended up costing the team the chance at the podium. And if he starts doing that here, he's far more likely to be shown the door. So he's really got to keep a lid on it, and as you've both said, that could really cost the team big time. And it's all going to be on him, because no one in the team, particularly Lawrence, is going to put any blame at Lance's door.
Yeah, it's going to be a little soap opera maybe. We'll get a little infighting as well. But I think the reason I've picked them as a one to watch, definitely one to keep an eye on, is more for Stroll, because I cannot wait for him to hop in that car and prove those people that only see him as a pay driver wrong. He's not the best driver on the grid. He's absolutely not. Would he be in Formula One now without the money? Maybe just, but he was definitely rushed there because of the cash. There's no denying that. Yes, his daddy's bought the team, but he showed, okay, it's only post-season testing that he can be quick. He's apparently pretty much straight on the pace of Ocon in that simulator. We have to set it with a pinch of salt because, of course, it comes from the team, but I think he's going to surprise a few people. I'm not going to talk about being a world beater, but I certainly, maybe a bit of a surprise for you here, Aldas. I've tipped him for an odd podium if we get a crazy Baku-style race.
Absolutely, and just remember, who there was someone in 2017 that got a little bit of a freak podium, and who was that? Lance Stroll. So definitely, I think he is one to. I think he's definitely one to watch. People just all they talk about is money, money, money with him, and that's fair enough. I mean, of course, yes, he was helped, but he is very talented. I mean, I'm thinking back also to the qualifying in 2017 in Monza. I think Lewis got his record-breaking pole there to beat Michael Schumacher, and Lance Stroll was right there with him. So he has definitely got talent. I mean, yes, 2018 was a rough year, but he has got talent. In my opinion, he's going to surprise a lot of people, and he's going to prove a lot of doubters wrong. Absolutely.
I hope so. I really hope so. I really do. I've been harsh on him in the past, absolutely, but I think there comes a point where you have to accept that he's probably going to be in F1 for the next 20 years. Maybe seems a little bit much, maybe 15 years, as long as his dad's got that team, or he's absolutely diabolical, of course. His dad will have to make a business decision at that point. But he's better than people make out. He's not brilliant, but he is better than people make out. Solid midfield driver, I think I've said a few times. But I don't want to name all the teams for ones to watch, because that's kind of pointless for ones to watch. But have you got another one that you think we should keep an eye on, Jonty?
Maybe not a one to watch, but along the lines of they've been getting everything so wrong, people would be very foolish to just write off Williams. As we were talking about more over the winter, excuse me, and towards the end of last season, it works out that this will be the first year that Paddy Lowe's in full control of the design of the car. He's been kind of trying to patch up other people's directions for the last couple of years. So now he's got the full control. He could really, he could throw a lot of surprises. You got to remember, it's roughly the same amount of time that he was at Mercedes before they started dominating. And yes, you had the hybrid changes, but he did have a couple of years just settling in before he got full control of the car. And that could really shock a few people. Anyone would be crazy to write them off entirely.
They're great points, and it's kind of like, as we were saying about McLaren earlier, they wrote off, I hate saying wrote off because Claire Williams always says it's not writing off, but they pretty much wrote off 2018 very quickly when they realised they'd gone the completely wrong direction with the car and just completely got it wrong. So they've had a lot of time since those rules were passed to work on that car. So I think there will be improvement there. I'm fully expecting them to improve. The problem I have, Aldas, is that they picked up 7 points and their nearest rivals were Toro Rosso on 33. Now, for a team that is aiming to be midfield at the moment, that's quite a big margin to overturn.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's just not forget they were last. There's no two ways about it. I mean, also what's quite funny that Jonty said, obviously, some people are writing them off. That sadly I am one of those people. I did predict them to finish last. And also their driver lineup, I think, is very interesting because I actually count Robert Kubica as a rookie. I mean, he's coming in the last time he was in a Formula One car, that was almost a completely different sport. So they've got an even less experienced lineup than last year. And I think they're losing, they lost the Martini money as well. So again, I just don't know about Williams, but I do think they'll make a little bit of a step up. I don't think they'll finish as far behind from second place, but breaking into that midfield is going to be hard. I mean, we've already talked about how good we think Sauber's going to be, Racing Point with their new money. 2019, the midfield is going to be very, very close and competitive.
So you say Kubica was a rookie. People won't like that, and I got a lot of stick when I did my news video on that, but he has said that himself. He said he feels more like a rookie than an experienced race-winning driver because he's been away for so long. So although statistically he's not a rookie and he's massively experienced, the sport's changed so much since he was last in it that you can easily count him as a rookie.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think it's, like I said, it's completely different. The one thing I do sort of differ from other people is I actually don't think he'll have a physical problem, because have you seen how much, like, if you have follow his social media, he cycles and trains so much. Every single race I see him cycling. What I'm worried about is raw pace, just raw and utter pace that the likes of Lando, Leclerc, and Russell just definitely have because they're young. That's what I'm worried about, to be honest.
We were saying last week, actually, in the teammate battles one, that a lot of people seem to think Kubica is going to get in that car and wipe the floor with Russell, but I think this is going to be one of the closest lineups on the grid. I really do, and people think I'm crazy for that, but that's just how I feel.
No, I definitely see that. I mean, definitely, it's going to be very interesting to see. Again, this is just another piece of the 2019 puzzle why it's going to be amazing. We just don't know what's going to happen. Kubica could easily just blitz Russell and return to where he was, just being incredible. Or he could, not have a very good season. We just don't know what's going to happen. But it's a very competitive lineup, and it's a very feel-good lineup. Do you remember back in 2018, everyone was sort of downing Williams, like, oh, look, pay drivers, Lance Stroll, Sergei Sorokin. I myself wasn't like that. I don't mind pay drivers, if I'm honest. That's just my opinion. This is a very good, feel-good lineup, a brand new sort of British talent, and basically someone coming back from an incredible story and an incredible injury. So just amazing, really.
Actually, I'm going to put that question to you, because a couple of people in chat now saying he's not a rookie. I think that they're missing the point we're making. But do you see him as a bit of a rookie, Jonty, in the way that he's saying that he feels more like one than an experienced driver?
Absolutely. I mean, yes, he's got the experience of working with the team, knowledge of the tracks and the systems and processes that are involved within an F1 team. But as far as the cars go, aero, tyres, power units, steering wheels, suspension, are all completely different to the last time he was racing in the cars. I mean, 100% different. So how can he not see it as being a rookie? He's having to learn how the cars handle from scratch. They are so much different to when he was last racing.
It's going to be a big ask for him, but I'm relatively confident he'll do very well. But I do think Russell's going to give him a very good run for his money. But I think somebody just in chat actually was going to made the point that I was going to make about Skyman, about Kubica helping Russell. He's still massively experienced, Kubica, and that kind of experience, as we'll see with Raikkonen and Giovinazzi, they may not help them in the sense of setup and things like that, but they're going to be there as someone to lean on, aren't they? So I'm quite excited for this lineup. But I tell you what, because like I said, I don't want to name every team because then we're just going through the grid and making predictions really. But one more, Aldas, a team to watch.
Well, I think it's going to be the big one. I'm surprised I didn't go with first. It's going to have to be Ferrari. This is definitely going to be interesting. This is going to be... I'm so excited for this. And the internet is just so split on this. Some people think that Leclerc can even win the title, and I absolutely can see it. Some people think that Vettel's going to collapse. This is going to be incredible to watch how Ferrari are going to be in 2019.
Yeah, it's a good shout. It's another one of those fascinating lineups like I've been saying, isn't it? It's great to see a young driver being given his chance alongside somebody like Sebastian Vettel. I said it in my video on Saturday. I think Leclerc, people need to calm down. Yes, I'm guilty of it, of the Leclerc hype. They just need to chill with it a little bit. He's not really great season at Sauber, but we've not seen him in a top team. We've seen drivers who have had fantastic seasons. Sergio Perez had a brilliant time at Sauber, went to McLaren and just imploded. I'm not saying Leclerc will, but we just don't know. So just need to calm down a little bit on it. But I think he'll be there to give Vettel a run for his money. But I also think he'll give Vettel the kick up the backside, as I've said a million times, that he needs after what was a pretty poor 2018. Ultimately, people talk about that first half of the season and the mistakes, how good he was then, and we can't really say that it was a poor season, but it was such a poor year for him, and frustrating as well. And I know I'm going to get fanboy stuff thrown at me because I'm going to go on a rant in a minute, but it's interesting to say about the title there, Aldas. I think Charles Leclerc can win it and can challenge for it. I just don't think he will. I think it will still be Hamilton versus Vettel for that one, and if Honda deliver, maybe Verstappen, but I still think it's a Hamilton-Vettel fight.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Anyone that is in a fast car, whether it being a Mercedes or Ferrari, is in the title fight. We know that. It's just all about how is this jump up going to be, because there is no bigger pressure in Formula One than being a Ferrari driver. Doesn't matter if you're winning at Mercedes or anything else. Ferrari is just it's on a next level. I mean, you have an entire country and the Tifosi and the media and the fans and everything. They're just always on your back. And that is a lot on a young man like him, especially with the hype that he's got around him. But I think that Sebastian did have sort of a bad end to that 2018 season. I think some of that might just be deflected away from Charles Leclerc and just put back on Vettel, because now he's under the microscope. We've seen this again. We've seen this before in 2014. Is he going to get beat again? This is a very big season for Vettel and one that could define the rest of his career.
What do you reckon about Ferrari then, Jonty? Do you think they've got a good lineup? I'm pretty confident they've got a very good lineup. But what are your predictions? Not predictions for them, but your thoughts on them for 2019? What they need to do, really? They've got to deliver, haven't they? And some big changes as well in terms of management personnel.
Well, I was just going to make that point. I mean, yes, they've got to deliver. The stat I keep bringing up in other streams is that this is their last chance, or else it's the first decade ever where they don't win anything. And that won't sit well back at Maranello. But the whole management change, all the top people with Binotto coming in, or moving up, sorry, I think that's a massive, massive mistake by them. And that could well cause a lot of problems. He was focused on what he was doing, and he was delivering in spades. That's not the person you want to take away from their job, which is going to make it all the more harder for Vettel and Leclerc on the track.
It's going to be. Do you think it'll be really close between them? Are you expecting this to be one of the closer fights on the grid?
It should be. I've said a lot of stuff about these pair in the past, how I think it's going to go. A lot of people kind of take it the wrong way. I'm not saying Vettel is going to just crumble. Just saying if Leclerc is really pushing him to the edge, Vettel will either rise to it or become a disaster. That's the whole problem with this partnership. It's going to be one or the other. It's very Marmite. There's not going to be any middle ground. Vettel's either going to absolutely surge from it and go off and dominate the championship, or he's going to be in the wall every week.
Eddie, look, I'm still here and I'm still relevant, Irvine. Here he goes. Said some, I might swear, some bullshit stuff in the middle of the week about how overrated Sebastian Vettel is, how he's a one-trick pony. It's utter nonsense. Some of the points he makes about him mentally are not spot on, but he's got a fair point on. But how there are some people out there that can take the word of a guy who won 4 Grand Prix in his career, 2 of which, Germany 1999 was gifted to him by Mika Salo, and Malaysia 1999 was gifted to him by Michael Schumacher, and the only way he challenged for those wins was because Schumacher broke his legs. How they can take his word over the likes of a 4-time world champion and other multiple world champions on Vettel is frankly baffling, and they're just as stupid as Eddie Irvine is, to be perfectly honest with you. He talks nonsense. He talked nonsense most of his career, and he just likes to be massively controversial. And unless you've got something to back it up, I think he should keep his gob shut, especially given that he admits, Jonty, he doesn't even watch the bloody sport anymore. So what's it got to do with him?
All I'll put on this point is, someone is talking out of any orifice that isn't their mouth when it makes you think, Villeneuve's got far more credibility than you have.
I thought this earlier, I cannot stand Jacques Villeneuve as some of the things he said, but at least he's got a championship behind him to back that up. Eddie Irvine's got nothing, except after you, Michael, that was his career. So I'd suggest, not that he'll ever watch this stream, but I would suggest that he shut up and go back onto his property ladder and crack on with it. But anyway, Aldas, I'm going to have a drink, mate, and you can have a word.
Well, first of all, he's definitely watching this stream. I mean, come on, let's be honest. So he definitely heard it. No, I honestly think it's just a little bit of jealousy as well. I mean, it's always easy to point to people that are really successful and say, oh, there's the flaws, there's something that's wrong with them. But really, he is talking out his backside, let's be honest. Like, it's, once again, the pressure is so big on Sebastian Vettel. And yes, he's not a perfect driver. He's not a perfect person. But Eddie Irvine, yeah, I don't know what he was trying to, I think he was just trying to have his little 20 seconds of fame, to be honest.
Daniel McLellan, sorry if I butchered your name, mate. Very good point in chat. Fair point. The difference is I never claimed to be a race-winning driver or good enough to win a world championship. So, yeah, and Mr. Random Guy, he would. That's all I'm going to say. Let's move on from Ferrari. I do want to talk about Mercedes. Shocking, seeing as there's so much bias towards them. I want to do this. Because...
Oh, no.
What's going on here?
I'm trying to avoid saying too much on them because I'm doing my predictions this coming week, but are they going into this season as comfortable favourites? Because I don't know why. I've got it in my head this last couple of days from some of the things that have been said and bits like that. And some of the stuff around Ferrari and question marks about their management, and obviously some of the fuss around Red Bull and reliability. I've got a horrible feeling, and I say horrible because it would be bad for the sport if a team goes out and dominates. I've got a horrible feeling they might be not comfortable, but probably quite solidly the team to beat this year, Aldas. And I know I'm probably putting you on the spot with that one, and I'm probably listening to too many tinfoil hat theories, but I'm a little bit concerned.
The one thing I find interesting about them is that we have not heard a peep from them. I mean, all we've been hearing is about Red Bull, Honda, how Renault have been talking, Ferrari with them. We have not heard a single thing from Mercedes, if we're being honest. So, and that kind of worries me. That means that they're, getting on with it and just going to do what they do, which is create an amazing car. We've seen obviously Valtteri Bottas go and do some rallying. It's going to be so strange, but I do see exactly what you mean. This could also, as good as the season we're thinking is going to be, it could very easily turn into an absolute just domination by Mercedes, if not Lewis Hamilton.
What do you reckon, Jonty? Am I being too pessimistic about the season ahead?
I think you are, yeah. Now, we did have one report, I think it was the end of December, maybe mid-December, where Toto Wolff had come out and said that they'd started on the wrong path for their power unit for 2019. I don't know how true that is. Like I say, it could well be the mind game starting early. You know what they're like. But it does make you think a bit, and I don't think they'll be as strong as you think.
Maybe having one of my down days when it comes to Formula One. Maybe that's all it is. But I don't know what I was reading. I can't remember what it was now. If I remember, I'll try and link it in the comment section when I do the timestamps. But there was something I was reading about how strong they looked or could potentially look for 2019, and with everything else going on, the squabbling and the changes at other teams, it could give them a little bit of a boost. I will say before we get onto Q&A though, and I'd like to think you both agree, and I think everyone in chat will agree. In fact, some are already saying it. Massive year for Bottas. Absolutely huge year for Bottas, Jonty's got to deliver.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really hope for his sake that he does. He did have some bad luck in 2018, and he had some unpleasantness from team orders and what have you, which would have knocked a lot of the wind out of him. And then the whole deal with the personal sponsor, which is just, he's on the floor, let's give him another kick. It must really, really cause problems for your motivation. I hope he can use it, because he does deserve a bit more. And if he can use it, he will be a very, very strong competitor. But if he doesn't, he will be getting soundly beaten by a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm going to come to you, Aldas. Rather than me repeating myself on Bottas, give you the last word on Valtteri, because we've not had you on before, so just interested to know what your thoughts on him last year and what he needs to do in 2019.
Valtteri in 2018 was very, very... It was a little bit difficult to watch. Yes, he did have the team orders, and he did get unlucky a couple of times, but he just never... He seemed off the pace compared to Lewis, and yes, obviously I'm comparing him to Lewis Hamilton, who's just won... So he's a legend, let's be honest. So, there's one thing. But yeah, Valtteri had a very, very poor 2018, and 2019 is going to be a very big season, especially with a certain Esteban Ocon, it's almost like that seat is being made for Esteban, and Valtteri is just warming it up for him. I don't know if anyone else sees it like that, but he's got to deliver. He's got to come out and win races from the get-go. I mean, he could have been leading the championship if he won Baku, I think. So he needs to look at the positives from 2018, really, and just stay positive that he does have the speed and just avoid all the negativity, to be honest.
Yeah. A lot of people think Ocon's already got that seat. A lot of people think that, so I'm not quite so sure, but I think he's probably the one that will get it if Bottas doesn't deliver. But come on then, chap. Give me one team name, your one to watch for 2019. I've already said I think Sauber are the ones for me to really, really keep an eye on this year because they improved so much towards the back end of last year. The experience of Kimi, as we were saying earlier. So I think they're going to be, definitely the biggest one to keep an eye on. What about drivers? I'll tell you what, while the chat are doing that, what about drivers, Jonty? Who are you really looking forward to seeing this year and is your one to watch for the year?
Well, with you talking about, the massive overhyping of Leclerc, he does deserve some hype because he is a stunningly good driver. But I think Russell has been quite underhyped. We've seen a lot of hype around Norris, but Russell's just kind of quietly going along doing his thing. And he could well surprise a lot of people.
What about you, Aldas?
To be honest, I'm really looking forward to Daniel Ricciardo. I'm looking forward to really seeing how is this decision going to pan out for him. Because this was obviously a very big move to Renault. Let's be honest. And some people think that he made a big mistake, and I could definitely see that. I mean, of course, it does look like it's a step down, but it could also be a great move. So 2019 is going to be very interesting for Daniel Ricciardo, and I don't think he's going to. Some people think that he's just going to whitewash Hulkenberg, but I also don't think it'll be as one-sided as people think for him.
Yeah, I think there's some very good shouts there from both of you, but I don't want to just agree with you because that'd be boring. So I'm going to put another option in there, which might surprise a few people. Alex Albon. I think I said it last week in the teammate battle stream that there's a lot of talk about Russell. There's a lot of hype around Norris. Well, both drivers, a lot of hype around them. Albon finished not a million miles behind Norris in the F2 Championship and was very consistent last year. Not perfect by any means, and there were some sloppy moments, but he was very consistent last year. And I think he comes into this season up against a driver who's also got a point to prove in Daniel Kvyat in what could be a very interesting lineup to keep an eye on. But I've got a feeling he'll do better than maybe some are giving him credit for or predicting for him. And in that little fight at Toro Rosso, which I think is going to be a fight for who's going to partner Tictum, unfortunately, for the future, I think he could come out on top in that one. And that's nothing against Daniel Kvyat, because I really like the guy. I do nothing but defend him, which some people think is ridiculous. But yeah, I'm going to go Albon, just to be different more than anything, just to mix it up. But I'll give you a couple of shout-outs in chat for your team predictions. A lot of Renault and Sauber in there by the look of it. KJ has said Renault. Flying Tauber has really said Sauber with a lot of exclamation marks, so he's definitely feeling that one. David Thompson-Williams. Daniel Philpott, of course, says Haas and the legend of Grosjean. Sauber says Jordan McNulty. I'll try not to butcher your names. I will try my best. Matic says McLaren. Not. Jack Chambers, evening mate, he says Maple Racing Point for Stroll. Renault from Sassy. Mario says Toro Rosso because no one else has said them. That's kind of how I like to go sometimes. It's a bit weird. Williams getting a good few shout outs there. KJ says Albon in terms of driver, I think. Sauber and Haas. We didn't really mention Haas, but then again, it's not really ones to watch if we just start listing a team. So yeah, I think a few people saying Gasly as well on the team side of things. We'll see. I think Gasly's, I keep saying it, Gasly's going to do better than people make out. But we're going to take some of your questions in a moment. So if you want to start popping them in chat, I will try and come to them in a moment. I just want to give you a very quick update on next week because I'm thick. Some people in comments will have told you that anyway without me revealing that. But I'm quite dense. I didn't realise quite where we were in January. Next week is the final week in January, which has got me buzzing, as I'm sure it has for you two as well, for car launches and pre-season testing. It's not far away now. And my plan was to take a bit of a step back for that last week in January, just so I can get things ready for testing and whatnot and gear things up a little bit for that. So a cutback in content. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll know how ridiculous this next line is going to be. But there is going to be a cutback in content this coming week. Instead of there being 3 videos, there will just be 2 and a live stream. So basically, the cutback is we're losing 1 video. But I just wanted to give you a heads up. The uploads will either be Tuesday and Wednesday or Friday and Saturday. It'll all come down to what I decide on the live stream for next Sunday. So just wanted to give you a little heads up on that one for next week. So take a few questions. Actually, Jonty, 2 weeks till car launches, mate. 3 weeks till testing. How excited are you?
Yeah, it's awesome. 2 weeks till car launches. Admittedly, that's second or even third in my eyes because 2 weeks till I got a week off.
Yeah, even better. can enjoy it all. What about you, Aldas? Are you buzzing for it, mate? I can't wait.
Oh my God, I can't wait. The thing is, we're going to have quite a lot of new liveries as well, so that's
Mm.
something else to look forward to. I mean, 2019 is just such a year of change, and I'm buzzing for this season, as I think every Formula One fan is. We just don't know what's going to happen, and testing as well. Oh, it's going to be amazing. Surely this season can't disappoint, Sean. Surely not.
I'm hoping not. I know I was quite pessimistic when I was talking about the possible Mercedes domination there, and maybe I'm just being a little bit miserable because it's Sunday or for whatever reason. But I really hope we get a great season. There's a lot of potential there. There's a lot of potential there. So many changes, and not just in driver lineups, but the cars as well. So really looking forward to this. Daniel Philpott says, when will Grosjean get his well-deserved Ferrari seat? I know that's a bit of a joke, so I can try and wind up Dan and you as well as Grosjean fans. I don't know why you're Grosjean fans, but you are. We'll get you some help, it's fine. But it's funny because I thought Grosjean was one of those, along with Perez, who was in contention for a Ferrari seat a few years ago, Jonty, when there was talk about change of lineup then. So it's a bit of a joke for me to read that in a way and kind of poke a little bit of fun at Daniel Philpott and the other Dan, but it could have happened once upon a time.
Yeah, it could have happened until a few races of 2018. Spain, in particular.
Yeah. Because didn't he go to Haas hoping for those Ferrari ties? I seem to recall there was something.
It's definitely a part of the draw. You know, when you see a new team that has got that technical partnership, you know that at the very least a toe in the door, maybe not a whole foot. So you've got to be thinking that far ahead. It's just a case of whether Grosjean does think that far ahead, because he doesn't think that far ahead on the track.
Oh dear.
Oh my God.
Try to be nice to Roman. Chetan says, where can you watch the F1 testing? If you're in a country where you can use, or you've got access to F1 TV Pro, you can watch it all on there. But I believe Sky Sports F1 and their dedicated F1 channel are showing the final 4 hours of each day of the first test, and there's been no confirmation about the second test as yet. But I'll just say that again, F1 dedicated channel. Look, it's better than nothing. I'm quite looking forward to watching it on Sky. But I think, frankly, if F1 TV Pro are showing it all live, then yeah, Sky Sports should be showing pretty much all of it. But let's not get into that one. Take a few more questions. What we got? What's your opinion of this week's Renault Sport Academy lineup announcement? Not overly surprised. I just need to go and double check that. I just have a look on Twitter because I did have the name somewhere earlier, but I'm not overly surprised by most of them. Just leave that one with me while I just go and try and find that list, and I'll try and come back to that one. I know I was very, very happy for Max to get the seat, to get one of the seats there, because I really like him. I'm not going to say I rate him. Let's not talk about Van Dorn because I'll probably cry again. But yeah, I'm not going to say I rate him, but I do really like him. So I was really pleased to see him get that one. Where does Alain Prost rank among the greatest, says Nation Gurung. I'm going to let you have that one first, Jonty, while I go and look for these Renault lineups. But I've been quite brutal about Alain Prost in the past, so maybe I need to stay out of this one a little bit.
He's definitely top 10. He has to be, but he's not a nice guy. He's one of the greatest because he was very, very fast and a great racer, but he used a lot of, his clever thinking and how to manipulate the regulations and the rules to his advantage when the situation required it. And it really wasn't sportsmanlike. He did get the nickname the Professor for thinking about stuff all the time, but he just wasn't a nice driver. I mean, none of them were really nice in that sense, but it really wasn't sportsmanlike. And I can't put him any higher than about 7th or 8th because of that.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on Alain Prost, Aldas?
Well, I think he's definitely a legend, and like you said, top 10 definitely. But I think there's one thing that I think it's Senna that just keeps getting in the way of him being mentioned higher and higher on everyone's list. It's just when he was against Senna, there was definitely some, like Jonty said, maybe a bit of shady stuff going on, but the talent is there. Let's be honest, like he is one of the greatest, and definitely deserves his place. But I definitely agree with Jonty. There was just some stuff that wasn't great about him, and especially his character as well. He's hard to love, but like you said, which driver isn't?
Yeah, well, when you think about it, there's some of the greats, or most of the greats. Schumacher, Senna, Hamilton will go in there at some point when he's finished his career, and we've got all the stats and whatnot. Have got people who absolutely hate them. And there are parts about their personality that people can't stand, and a lot of people can't stand. So I guess that's part of... I saw somebody in the comment section, actually, when we talk about Bottas saying that he's not enough of an a-hole, I think is how they worded it. You've got to be a little bit like that, and a lot of the greats were. So I like to say ruthless rather than a-hole. I think that's a little bit harsh. But yeah, if the Red Bull Honda proves to be on point, can Hamilton beat a motivated Verstappen, says Thomas84. Good question. It's all going to come down to Honda, isn't it? I mean, I'm going to answer that in such a speculative way, but I think if Honda are anywhere near Mercedes and Ferrari in terms of power, with Adrian Newey on board in that chassis, and they're reliable as well, if Verstappen keeps it clean and Gasly can deliver, they'd probably go into the season as favourites, which is a bold prediction. The problem is, I don't think they're going to be all that close to Ferrari and McLaren. They might be close to McLaren and Ferrari, but Mercedes and Ferrari, I can't see them being as close as that to them. Maybe I'm being harsh, but I know you think fourth Aldas, and we were talking about this earlier, but a big ask to be challenging for the title this year.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, when I said they're fourth, that was just me not believing in Honda and their reliability. But so it was a bit of a crazy prediction. But if they do, let's just say they do come out in Australia with an amazing package, maybe Max even gets pole, and we see that this works from the first race, then absolutely Max Verstappen. I think, whether he can keep it together mentally, and especially up against Pierre Gasly, who already has come out and said he's not going to be a number two driver, he's not going to move along. It's going to be very interesting. But Max, we've seen it at the end of 2018, he can challenge for that championship. But as we've said time and time again, it's all about Honda and what they're going to produce for Red Bull.
What do you reckon, Jonty?
Yeah, it's one of, if not the biggest question mark for the year coming, isn't it?
Yeah.
About what that engine can do. And as you said, if they're even just a tenth or two away from even Renault, they'll stay where they are. But that's not what they want. They want to move up. And I don't think they're going to be able to do that.
We keep saying it's so many question marks this season. We just don't know. But really looking forward to... Sorry to read a couple of questions that I really want to read, but they're nowhere near F1 related, and I can't. But I'd love to, because that would be brilliant. I did just see a really good one, actually, about Vettel and Leclerc. It's kind of, we've already answered it multiple times in streams and whatnot, but it was I love the way they were worded. It's the F1 report says, do you think Leclerc will be Vettel's kryptonite, like Ricciardo was in 2014, or will Vettel beat him? It was the word kryptonite that jumped out there. It's another one of those big question marks over this season. I've said it a few times, and I've said it in this stream. I think Leclerc will give Vettel a good run for his money, but I don't think he'll beat him this year. It's early days for Leclerc. He is very much... It's sort of how I view it, Jonty. He is the man that, if he can deliver some consistency this year and get close to Vettel, he is the man that Ferrari are looking at to build a team around. So it's not that he doesn't need to go in and beat Vettel this year. I mean, he can and he could, but I just don't think that he will in his first season. So it's not really something I think too much about. But I suppose the question really then, answering that more than speculating, is if Leclerc beats Vettel, will Vettel leave? What do you reckon, Jonty? I'm not convinced he will, because I don't think there are many options out there for him.
As I said before, kryptonite's probably the best way to put it, because I honestly think it's going to be so early on in the season. If Leclerc comes out and beats him, bang, it's going to be a red hot fight all year, and it's going to get nasty. If Vettel comes out and wins, then it will be business as usual Ferrari with a 1 and a 2. I honestly believe it's all going to come out in Australia.
Could you see him walking if it doesn't go his way?
No, with the way he hasn't produced what Ferrari want, and the reason that Ferrari went to so much effort to get him in, certainly by the end of the year, I think he would be sacked before he got the chance to walk.
Where would he go then, Aldas? Let's say Vettel does do what he did in 2014 and disappears from Ferrari after being beaten by his teammate. Where does he go? Because I can't see him wanting to go. I think Hamilton would absolutely love to have him as a teammate, because I think that would answer, I think most of us would, because that would answer the question, wouldn't it, that everyone keeps putting forward. But I don't think Vettel would fancy going for that. I don't think Mercedes would want to go back to a situation where they've got two drivers falling out left, right and centre, so that's probably not an option unless Hamilton retires or there's a Ferrari swap somewhere. Although he's not going to go back to Red Bull. I can't really, unless Hulkenberg has a terrible year, see Renault picking him up. So I certainly can't see him ended up in a Haas or a Williams.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, you just answered the question that you asked me, so that's great. But yeah, I absolutely agree with you. It's just number one, I'd love to. Who would love to see him in a Mercedes against Lewis Hamilton? I mean, that would be. I think that little cuddly relationship and the respect they have, and that we saw in 2018, might just be fizzing away if that happened. But I don't think it ever will. There might even be some contract issues apparently that they can't be on the same team. But I actually don't see him going into a midfield team like Kimi Raikkonen. I absolutely agree with you, and I think Red Bull. Mercedes is a very tricky position. It all depends about when Lewis Hamilton will retire and when and if he does get kicked out. I think Red Bull might just be his only option, to be honest, and that will obviously depend if Pierre Gasly will be, how long he will be at Red Bull. But Vettel's in a very tricky position for sure.
I did a video a couple of weeks ago now about the possibility of, because of some reports floating around or some opinions floating around, that Hamilton might end up at Ferrari, maybe in a swap with Vettel. Could you ever see that happening?
I mean, that would just be. I think that would cap off their careers absolutely fantastically. I mean, a Vettel in a German team in a Mercedes, and Lewis Hamilton, as you said, building his brand in a Ferrari, the biggest car brand that there is. So I think that would be an incredible for 2021. If they stayed one more year, did the swap, that would be an incredible end to their careers. That would be amazing.
Do you think Hamilton at Ferrari, Jonty, would be a match made in heaven, as I said in my video, or do you think maybe he's not the kind of person from a marketing perspective that Ferrari would want on board? A few people said that in the comment section to that video.
Up until 2 weeks ago, I would have agreed completely and say he just does not fit the whole sort of persona around Ferrari as a brand and the way that they carry themselves as a Formula One team. Then something happened at Ferrari and they started having a bit of a laugh and a joke and banter with people on Twitter, and they were more open and, kind of inviting fans in to be more just interactive with them and let them know more about what's going on. So now I really couldn't answer that. I'm not sure. I'm sure he would love to take that seat. All of the drivers would like to drive for Ferrari, no matter what position they're in, because it's just that feather in the cap. But I'm really not sure anymore. Ferrari has changed dramatically from a public sort of perspective in the last couple of weeks, and it's going to be very, very interesting on that front this year as well.
So I've just seen the F1 reports question to you about Wehrlein, asking if he'll ever return to Formula One. I don't care. I'm going to do it. If he performs or continues to perform like he did on Saturday, Jonty, he could well be back on people's radar.
Well, yeah. I mean, he did a stonking job on Saturday. There's no other way to put it. He was fast all weekend. It was a brilliant, brilliant performance. So hopefully that would get him back on the radar, but we're at that point where there's not enough seats. That's the biggest problem.
I'm going to take two more. This one is just for you, Aldas. Dan is in chat. He says, what's Aldas's thoughts on Grosjean? They better be positive. So you have to be no, you don't. Give him as much stick as you can.
Okay, this is where I'm gonna roast him. No, honestly, okay, I must be in there's probably 3 people in the world that like Romain Grosjean, me, Dan, and probably his mum. No, seriously, I do like Romain Grosjean. Seriously, I rate him a lot. Let's just remember he had a great 2017 season, and we saw the end of his 2018 season was again really, really good. I think he got more points than Kevin Magnussen, and we have seen him, yes, get into incidents. 2012 was definitely a big one. Lost Fernando Alonso the championship, but I'm not sour about that, of course. And yeah, he did have a rough 2018, but he's a solid driver. And yes, he is under pressure, but I don't think he's, going to get booted off or anything. I think he's going to bounce back.
Be careful when you say you rate somebody, because I rate Van Dorn and look what happened there. So it doesn't always go very well. I can have a look for one more question to end on then. So if you've got a good one, pop it in there. I'm just going to try and have a quick flick through. I did see a good one earlier, but I think it's probably gone. I'll give you this one quickly, Jonty, while I'm scrolling through, which is technically going to be the penultimate question, I guess. Will Schumacher go to Ferrari eventually? That comes from Nick, I believe. That's just disappeared again.
The smart business people involved will be pulling every string possible to make it happen, purely from a marketing perspective.
Sorry, I'd love to see Schumacher there. From a channel perspective, it would be a nightmare, because I'd constantly be accused of bias with that one. But I kind of want to go with this one from David Thompson, because it's a good question, and it's also a very good jab in the ribs for Dan again. Do you think anyone will get a suspension this year because of licence points? Grosjean is the question. He's the closest to it, I believe. I think he would have to do some pretty bad stuff, but then if he has a difficult start, let's put it that way, as he did in 2018, then he could easily pick up a few points and end up getting suspended. But I don't actually think there's anybody all that close to getting a suspension, but certainly Grosjean would be the most likely, I would say, Jonty.
Yeah, that's fair to say. I mean, the points do come after 12 months, so he's probably down to, I think, 7 at the start of the season. Maybe 8, I'm not sure. But if he keeps going the way he was, it's highly likely to be him first. But then all the stuff that's going to be going on at Red Bull and Racing Point, there's quite a few people who could end up being the first getting a race ban.
Yeah. He got a couple taken off one taken off after Mexico or Brazil, didn't he?
Yeah, he had to be super careful in the race because he had like 24 hours where if he just got that 1 or 2 points, it would have been a ban. So he was really behaved himself.
Yeah. So yeah, I think Grosjean. What do you reckon, Aldas? Is there anybody I'm missing? Because I can't think that anyone was all that close in the end.
Yeah, not really. I mean, maybe Verstappen, he's the only one that I think, and I don't think Vettel has that many, but maybe Verstappen is like the second, but not even close. Yeah, Grosjean is the one that's under pressure of, can we just like imagine him getting like kicked out for a couple races? The internet and Dan will go absolutely crazy with just roasting him. That'd be amazing. Not that I'm hoping for that, of course, but let's just, say it'll be a good thing.
We wouldn't see Dan for 2 weeks. He'd disappear. But yeah, I think to answer that question, I think Grosjean is the most likely. I'm sure. I've got a feeling Verstappen was second on that list. I might be wrong, but like you said, Aldas, he's a long way off that one. So we're going to leave it there for this evening, and we've done an F1 word hour, which is 68 minutes. Not bad. We're getting there. We're getting closer.
And still somehow roasted Grosjean for about 10 minutes.
Oh hell yeah! That's what these streams are all about. That's why the people tune in. Just Dan stick and Grosjean roast. But thank you very much for coming out, Aldas. It's been a pleasure, mate, having you on, and hopefully we'll get you on again in future. And you did a good job, mate. Enjoyed that. Good to talk to somebody with a fresh opinion.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was really, really good. Thanks. And yeah, fun to be on the stream. Definitely so interesting. Obviously, watching it and now being on it is just amazing. Thank you, Sean, and thank you, John.
No worries, mate. And thank you as always, Jonty. It's been a pleasure. Once a week for these streams. Seems like forever in between, but season's not far away now, so I'm sure we can start ramping them up soon.
Yeah, I'm sure you've probably got something planned for when the season gets going, or at least the pre-season gets going. But thanks for having me on again. Pleasure to be on with you, Aldas.
Yeah, you too, Jonty.
And thanks to everyone watching.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, don't steal my job. That's my sign out. There's no point in me bothering anymore. But yeah, I will probably talk to you both in a few minutes. But thank you very much again.
See ya.
Lovely. Thank you very much to Jonty and to Aldas and to everyone. They've just done it for me, but there we go. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. Just a quick reminder again, if you missed it earlier, one less video this week, and I will make a decision on the Sunday stream towards the end of the week, just while I gear up, try and get a bit refreshed ready for the pre-season, because from the 4th of February, we're going to be 3 videos in a stream minimum, and then from the 11th of February, it's basically content solidly until well, probably August and the summer break. So yeah, just take a couple of days to get things in place and just refresh a little bit. So yes, a little bit quieter next week. If you are a fan of Formula E, yes, you're going to give me stick for it straight away. Make sure you subscribe to the Formula E Word, the second channel. There is a link in the description. We'll be live tomorrow night at 8 p.m. to review the Santiago E-Prix. Fantastic race, and there's lots to talk about there as well. But in the meantime, you can follow me over on social media. Links to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and of course to Discord are all in the description down below. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean. This has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.